How's it going, guys? Patrick James here, and today I'm going to answer a question I got from Mozud. Now, Mozud, he sent a question into me on Facebook through direct message, and he said, "Bro, what's your best affirmations that you love that helped you with women, business, and action taking? Also, do you write your affirmations in your journal and say them in the mirror?" I think this is a very good question because affirmations or incantations or positive thought loops, or as I like to call them, success maxims, they're very powerful for shaping your self-image, and not even just shaping your self-image, but keeping your self-image where you want it to be, because frames, aka the way we view the world, are very fluid, and if you don't constantly remind yourself of how badass you are or consciously choose your self-image, then other people will choose it for you, because our world is very funny in that it's really just a big battle of people's frames. Okay, so for example, if my frame is, this is a really good wallet because it's brown and the money is clipped on the outside. All right, if that's my frame, someone else could easily come in and say, "Your wallet sucks because it's brown and the money is clipped on the outside." The only difference is how we choose to see it. I see it in a positive light, that other person sees it in a negative light. Okay, but that can be applied to everything in life, okay? So the way I do this, the way I choose to see things in a more positive light, the way I choose to be more optimistic about the world, the way I choose to think of myself in a high self-esteem kind of way, is I do affirmations, and I have incantations, and I have success maxims that I constantly do. I write them in my journal, and I say them in the mirror, just like Mozud implied. So some of my favorite affirmations for success with women and success in business and getting myself to take action, so motivation, here are a few off the top of my head. Well, one of them, heard from one of my buddies and mentors, was, "I'm such a 12." Okay, so like on a scale of 1 to 10, a lot of girls think of themselves as 10s. Well, I'm a 12, all right? I'm such a 12. I used to say that to myself all the time in my own head, all right? And if you say it enough, even if you don't believe it, but if you say it with enough conviction in your head, and it's kind of like a repeated thought in your head, then you'll eventually start to accept it. It's kind of like Tony Robbins gives this example. Have you ever been to Disney World and heard the song, "It's a small world after all"? And all they do is repeat that phrase over and over and over again. And then for the next 2 weeks, when you leave Disney World or Disneyland, that song just keeps playing in your head. Well, even if you don't believe it's a small world after all, it's something that just won't leave your head. And then after like a long time of hearing that phrase over and over and over again, you start to think, wow, like, it's a pretty small world after all. And that's how incantations work. If you say them with enough conviction, if you say them enough to yourself, you'll start to accept them. So if I say to myself, "God, I'm such a 12," that is going to eventually seep into my subconscious. Now, I didn't make that thought loop up. I'm going to give credit to that one to Jason Capital, one of my buddies and mentors. But one of my favorite ones is for motivation to get me to take action, whether it's business or whether it's with my social life in general, because there is no thought loop and there is no affirmation that can replace real world experience. Okay, so you got to keep yourself motivated. You got to keep yourself with the self-image of thinking that you are the kind of person who takes action. So this is a thought loop that I made that I constantly say to myself all day. And anytime I start doubting my self-image or start feeling like I'm in a negative mood, I'll say this and I'll instantly be motivated again to start taking more action. So here's what it is. It's kind of long. I'm a disciplined person who takes massive action towards my vision every single day, regardless of how I feel and regardless of what others are saying, because I must achieve what I set out to, and because I must, I will. nobody hustles harder than me. That's kind of a long thought loop, but if I can say that to myself over and over and over again, it'll eventually become my self-image, all right? And now I start to take more action. Now I'm more motivated to start taking the next step towards my goal, all right? Whatever vision it is that I'm working towards, all right? So that's with action, motivation, action taking and motivation, and that one with women. Here's another one with women that I just came up with, or even with the world in general. I love how magnetic my effortless charm is, or I love how magnetic to the world my effortless charm is, something like that. If I keep saying that in my head, I'll start to believe that I'm a charming person, and if I actually take steps to learn how to become more charming and improve my people skills, then I'll start to view the world from the frame of everybody's magnetically drawn to me because I'm so effortlessly charming, all right? And that's a thought loop that you play over and over and over again in your head. Now, do I only write these in my journal? Do I only say these to myself in my head? I take it a step further. I get a dry erase marker and write it on my mirror in my bathroom. I'll write it on my mirror. That way when I'm brushing my teeth or I'm just checking myself out in the mirror, I also see this awesome thought loop that even my periphery is going to read it, and I'll just start saying it to myself in my head without even realizing it, okay? And that just helps get it ingrained even further, even faster. So I hope that helps you out, Mozud, and anybody else who watches this video. If you like this information, then get on that email list by clicking the link in the description, and I'll see you later.